Tonight on CTV News at 6. Calling on the city to do more.
We know that the fence isn't going to be the be-all, end-all solution.
A Timmins resident says safety continues to be a big concern near a well-known homeless encampment. Plus, a welcome addition to the team.
I know I will enjoy just being out and interacting with people in the community.
North Bay Police introduced their latest recruit, and it's good news for staffing levels. And what was discovered inside a time capsule dug up near the old hospital in Sault Ste. Marie.
CTV News at 6 with Marina Moore and Tony Rima with weather.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin with developing news in Greater Sudbury. Police say they are conducting a ground and aerial search on High Falls Road near Edwards Road in Worthington. That's just west of Sudbury off of Highway 17. Officers on scene say it's in relation to a missing 33-year-old man named Keith, who was last seen around 6 p.m. yesterday on High Falls Road. You can see a picture of the missing man there.
Around 6 p.m. last night. So we began an investigation into his disappearance, which led us to today. Now we are in a position to conduct a thorough search of the area. This is a very remote area of Sudbury, so we've activated our search and rescue team and our emergency response unit, and we've called in the assistance of the North Shore Search and Rescue, and searching the area, to check on his well-being and an attempt to locate him in good health.
And police say people in the Worthington area can expect an increased police presence while officers are on scene. North Shore Search and Rescue is also helping with efforts in the area. Anyone with information on the missing man is being asked to contact Greater Sudbury Police, as they say there are concerns for Keith's well-being. We will be posting the very latest on this story on our website as more information becomes available. That's ctvnewsnorthernontario.ca. A new police officer with roots in North Bay was sworn in today, and as CTV's Eric Tashner reports, this new addition brings the authorized complement for the North Bay Police Service to just one shy of where it wants to be.
I, Mackenzie Mills, solemnly affirm that
Constable Mackenzie Mills is looking forward to getting behind the wheel of a police cruiser. Now with her badge, the 33-year-old with North Bay roots is breaking new ground. She's the first person in her family to be a police officer.
I think I'll enjoy being out on the road. I think I know I will enjoy just being out and interacting with people in the community.
Her career with the service started in 2025 as a part-time special constable. Before joining the ranks, she worked with the YMCA and Nipissing District Housing Corporation in community-focused roles, while also volunteering at the Gathering Place Soup Kitchen, working with vulnerable people. All experience, she says, brings the personal touch to policing.
It gives me a different perspective when you can kind of see things from the other side. It helps to remind you that we're all human, right? And we have different struggles.
We encourage all our members to stay involved in the community, so having a basis when you were not an officer in community involvement really does strengthen their policing career.
According to North Bay Police, there are 118 sworn officers and 97 civilians within the service. The successful recruitment of Mills brings the agency to just one recruit shy of a full authorized roster.
We have one more recruit that we are actively screening applications now and interviewing people. We're hoping to have somebody at the fall intake, which is in September at the Ontario Police College.
And while North Bay Police look to fill its final spot, Mills's career begins with future ambitions of one day getting into investigative work.
It's less about the fun and exciting stuff and more about supporting my community.
Eric Tashner, CTV News, North Bay.
There's renewed hope in Sault Ste. Marie following this week's news of Canada's new submarine fleet. The federal government's choice not to go with the company that planned to invest $345 million in Algoma Steel for its submarine contract seemed like a major loss for the area. While local officials may have preferred South Korea's Hanwha Ocean over the successful firm TKMS of Germany. Soo MP Terry Sheehan says he was told by Algoma Steel officials that the submarines would use a very minimal amount of steel and that the real value found is elsewhere and should still go ahead, including steel docks on the east and west coasts, as well as the promise that the $275 million pledged for the steelmakers beam mill is still on the table.
I know that Minister Jolie is also committed. She's been up here a couple of times now and has said it on both times that she's committed to the beam division. So we're going to find a way to make this happen. These are hundreds and hundreds of jobs.
Part of the South Korean deal would have also included a commitment for Algoma to supply steel used in armored vehicles. Sheehan says that opportunity for the company is also still on the table. Well, it's the last thing on our minds with the current hot weather, but Sudbury is talking snow today. We've learned that wicked winter storm back in mid-March that brought the city to a halt cost the city almost $8 million. That's according to a report being presented to City Council next Tuesday. The author writes the event was felt across all service areas throughout the municipality, primarily labor with overtime and contracted services. The review has identified short, medium and long-term implementation priorities. On the list of recommendations is to develop a major winter storm response plan and command structure. Meanwhile, community members will have their voices heard at City Council next Tuesday through the Significant Weather Event Community Survey. The answers are in response to that mid-March storm and cleanup, and many say communication could be improved upon. The responses say local news was the most used way of getting information, followed by the city's social media accounts. The vast majority of the over 1,600 responses say road clearing status and snow clearing priorities were difficult to find or unclear.
It confirms strong public support for prioritizing safety and emergency access, but it also demonstrated or identified the opportunities for cleaner information about service priorities, more localized updates. Again, it's a large city all the way from Beaver Lake to Levac, south of Esther, north of Cape Riol. So again, more localized updates of what's going on in the various communities.
Pana says he hopes the extreme snowfall and ice buildup was a once in every 100 years type of storm, but hopes the information gathered will help make a better emergency plan if it happens again anytime soon. Well, from snow to rain, it's time for our first check on weather. Let's bring in CTV's Tony Rima to tell us if our thirsty forests are going to be getting some watering. Clearly no snow this time of year, Tony.
No snow, Marina, but we are going to get some rain. Sault Ste. Marie received some rain today, but for the most part, the northeast is dry. We want to kind of get some of that water out there so we can see our gardens grow. As we take a look at our forecast radar, well, pockets of activity, a system's going to be moving through the broadcast region, especially tomorrow morning. You'll see some shower activity, a risk of thunderstorms depending upon where you live. Then after that, we're going to see some clearing and no weather alerts other than air quality warning north of Val d'Or, Quebec, because of those forest fires. But I'll have more on your weather a little later in the show. Marina.
Thank you, Tony. There was an historic find recently in the Soo as crews continue to demolish the old General Hospital in Sault Ste. Marie. Soo Mayor Matthew Shoemaker posting to Facebook, a time capsule was discovered on the site. It had been buried April 29, 1963 during construction of the building. The discovery included a newspaper, a pamphlet about the General and Plummer hospitals, minutes of the meeting when construction was approved at St. Benedict Jubilee and St. Benedict Jubilee medals. The contents have since been entrusted to the Sault Ste. Marie Museum. How exciting that must have been to crack it open and check out the contents. Thank you for sharing that. Still to come here on CTV News at 6. Ontario's opposition leader marks 1,000 days of the RCMP's Greenbelt scandal investigation, and Toronto area police identify the young recruit killed in a crash in southern Ontario. A Timmins resident is calling on the city to do more to address ongoing issues surrounding the encampment behind the Living Space Emergency Shelter. She says a privacy fence expected by the end of July is not enough to address the broader problems. CTV's Lydia Chubak reports.
It was last September when we first introduced you to Timmins resident Chastity Dugay, who said she feared for her safety because of the encampment behind her home. Now, nearly a year later, in an email to CTV News, Dugay says little has changed. She's calling on the city for stronger enforcement, better coordination between agencies, and regular updates for neighbors. The mayor acknowledges resident concerns but says the city has limitations when it comes to the encampment itself.
Though there are human rights limitations as to the actual encampment itself, that's not to say that we should just be allowing a free-for-all back there. There is criminal activity that is taking place in the area, and not just reserved to the encampment, of course. And so, this is also an enforcement issue, and so community safety is a shared responsibility.
In March, City Council approved a privacy fence along the city-owned laneway beside the shelter. Dugay says a fence doesn't address the bigger concerns. Dugay wrote, while the proposal to install a fence may address one specific aspect of the situation, it does not resolve the broader issues that continue to impact surrounding residents and businesses. Without regular enforcement and accountability, these problems are simply displaced rather than resolved. The mayor says the chain link fence with privacy inserts is expected to be installed at the end of July.
We know that the fence isn't going to be the be-all end-all solution. This really is just a measure to be able to provide a bit of reprieve for the residents that are living adjacent to the laneway where we're seeing the encampment.
Boileau says municipal bylaw officers continue to visit the area multiple times a week, while weekly cleanups are continuing, and the city is working with police to address safety concerns. Lydia Chubak, CTV News, Timmins.
Meanwhile, a first-of-its-kind partnership in Timmins is bringing Indigenous, municipal and community leaders together to tackle homelessness across the Cochrane district. The community leadership table follows Mushkegowuk Council's declaration of a state of emergency over homelessness, housing instability and wellness last November. The goal is to move beyond fragmented responses and create a regional plan that reflects on how people access housing and services across the district.
One thing I really want to convey is that, Indigenous people know how to take care of Indigenous people, and that's why we're really focusing on Indigenous-led.
If 2025 demonstrated anything, is that a lack of a strategy and the chasing of dollars often leads to reactionary tables and meetings and policies that don't last and don't stand the test of time.
Homelessness across the Cochrane district has more than doubled since 2023, according to officials, with nearly 500 people unhoused by the end of last year. Police have identified the constable in training killed in yesterday's crash near the police college in Toronto. Dozens of officers lined the street to pay respects to the recruit as his body arrived at the coroner's office. CTV's Mike Walker reports.
A somber moment, police officers from Durham Region and Toronto lying the road and paying their respects as a procession carrying the body of Constable in Training Tyrone Magbitong arrives at the Centre for Forensic Sciences.
Co-workers always talked of him as a very genuine person, a genuine individual that they could all count on.
The 27-year-old joined the service as a special constable in May 2023. This past April, he was selected as a police constable recruit, fulfilling a lifelong dream to become a police officer. Magbitong was killed in a crash with a tractor trailer near Elmer just before 11:30 Tuesday morning. He was driving to the Ontario Police College with another cadet who was a passenger in the vehicle. According to the OPP, Magbitong was pronounced dead at the scene. The other officer in training was rushed to hospital with life-threatening injuries. A statement from Durham Regional Police reads in part, Tyrone was a compassionate, dedicated, and service-driven individual who believed deeply in helping others and making a positive difference in the community.
I'm still floored. I'm speechless. There's really nothing you can say when you lose somebody, but especially when you lose somebody who's just got nothing more than just life ahead of him.
Jennifer Huggins first met McBeek-Tung over a decade ago through Boxing Ontario. She says he was heavily involved in her charitable cause, Fight to End Cancer, supporting the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation.
He created something called the Rookie Division and was fighting to end cancer with us through the Rookie Division, running across North America and raising a lot of money for a great cause. And, you know, his hands were in so many different things, yet he still made time for the community and very much, and was very excited to get on the force.
Toronto's police chief among those paying their respects this afternoon. This comes during a difficult time for Ontario's policing community, still reeling from the deaths of 2 officers in separate incidents last month.
All these folks are out there every single day risking their lives, working hard for their communities. And I think we've seen an unprecedented amount of tragedy in our profession, and we're hoping that we've turned a corner.
Durham police say although McBeek-Tung's time with the service was far too short, he had a lasting impression on everyone who knew him and worked with him. He will be remembered for his kindness, professionalism, and the tremendous potential he brought to our organization. His loss is deeply felt throughout the Durham Regional Police Service and the wider policing community.
In other news, Ontario's official opposition is marking 1,000 days since the start of the RCMP's criminal investigation into the Greenbelt scandal. CTV's Siobhan Morris has the update.
We couldn't really fit 1,000 candles.
1,000 to mark the number of days so far in an RCMP investigation into the Greenbelt. The probe launched in October 2023, looking into whether developers may have been tipped off. Land was about to be taken out of the protected zone.
Ontarians have been waiting for the results of this investigation because they need to know what happened. They need to know if they can trust Doug Ford.
The Premier apologized and returned land to the Greenbelt, but only after months of public pressure. 2 damning reports from Queen's Park watchdogs, and the departure of 2 cabinet ministers and 2 staffers. The government has said they're cooperating with the Mounties.
Every agency that's ever asked, it's all been transparent. We've given them everything they need.
Today, the RCMP says their sensitive and international investigations unit is still conducting an investigation. A spokesperson adds they won't be sharing more information so as not to compromise that work. That clampdown makes sense to this former Toronto police detective.
This investigation could have potentially dramatic impact on the government and on the people of the province of Ontario. So it's incumbent on the RCMP to make sure they get it right the first time.
Mendelson explains this investigation is complicated, multi-layered, with people inside and outside Queen's Park to look at.
You have government-issued cell phones, you have privately used cell phones, all of these things in terms of extracting information from them take time because not everybody's giving them up voluntarily.
The Premier has tried to push past the scandal and refocus on the economy.
That's something that happened years ago that doesn't even show up on our radar on polling.
His track record since then shows that he has learned nothing at all.
With opposition parties drawing connections between the Greenbelt and the Skills Development Fund, Science Centre shut down, and push to expand Toronto's Island Airport.
It's all the usual suspects. They know the government. They're friends of the government. They donate to the PC party.
An Integrity Commissioner's report on distribution of Skills Development Fund cash is expected in the coming months. Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
The Anishinaabe Nation is raising the alarm over the proposed Northern Shield Energy Corridor. That's the proposed crude oil pipeline that was announced earlier this week by Ontario Premier Doug Ford and Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. The Grand Council chief calling the announcement a deep concern and disappointment. You can read more on this story by going to our website. Our digital team has posted an article at ctvnewsnorthernontario.ca. Or you can download the free CTV News app and get everything we work on delivered to your device. Back we go to Tony now for a check on the current conditions this Wednesday evening. Tony, do we need an umbrella for our evening walk tonight?
Marina, I don't think so, but depending upon where you live, it might be a good idea to bring it along with you. Let's take a look at our current temperature. Still hot and humid out there. Timmins 22 degrees, a mix of sun and cloud. Same kind of conditions and temperature for Cochrane. Moosonee is 17 degrees. It's raining right now in through Kapuskasing, so if you're going for a stroll this evening, taking the dog for a walk, bring that umbrella. 20 degrees, a mix of sun and cloud for Chapleau. 22 for Wawa. Sault Ste. Marie, mainly sunny at this point. 21 degrees. The Sioux did get some rain today. Parry Sound, still a warm one. around 27 degrees with a mix of sun and cloud. As we head north to North Bay, 19 degrees, so slightly below normal. As a daytime high, increasing cloud cover for Timiskaming Shores. Kirkland Lake coming in at 20 degrees. As we head west, let's go to Greater Sudbury. Sun, cloud, and the odd shower or two. Espanola, beautiful sunshine, 25 degrees for Elliott Lake, sun and cloud, and 24 in Gore Bay on Manitoulin Island. Your 7-day forecast is still to come. Marina.
Thank you, Tony. Next on CTV News at 6. President Trump says he's changed his mind about Iran's leaders and is no longer certain he wants to make a deal. And Northern students are being inspired by Nazem University to consider a career in healthcare. World leaders, including Canada's Prime Minister, have wrapped up 2 days of talks in Turkey, with Donald Trump calling the NATO summit a success, adding there was tremendous love and unity in the room. CTV's Graham Richardson has more.
Even as Canada reviews how many American F-35s it will buy, it's getting ready to arm the jets. An $800 million contract to a German firm for Joint Strike missiles on the F-35s. Part of Canada's boost to defense spending.
The capacities are being built, and you've seen recent announcements. There's more announcements today from Canada in terms of our procurement.
From Canada, it's new submarines, surveillance aircraft like GlobalEye, and the fighter jets, all boosting spending as Americans have demanded for many years. Carney says U.S. President Donald Trump is pushing NATO to change.
It's not just he's winning the argument, he's won the argument. Countries recognize that they need to take more responsibility, see the direct threats.
In the space of just a few hours, Donald Trump blasted Spain, threatening to cut off all trade with the United States.
Spain is a wasted cause. We don't want to do any trade business with Spain anymore.
A short time later, it was all about unity with NATO allies.
The unity in that room was incredible. Really a love. It was sort of pretty wild.
NATO's Secretary General has demanded a clear and credible plan for allies to spend 5% of GDP on defense by 2035. He also credits the American shift.
President Trump has been able to finally get done what since Eisenhower American presidents tried to do, which was to equalize defense spending between Europe and the United States.
Carney insists Canada is well on its way.
By the NATO definition, before the end of this decade, we are spending 4%.
So as NATO grapples with Donald Trump's mood, the hard part will be trying to fill the gap the Americans are leading. NATO and Canada say that's what all this spending is about, and they're up to the task. Graham Richardson, CTV News, Ankara.
Also looming over discussions at the NATO summit, tough talk from U.S. President Donald Trump as he blames Iran's leaders for violations of their shaky ceasefire. CTV's Joy Malbin has that story.
The U.S. president said he's done. At the NATO summit, Donald Trump declared the fragile ceasefire with Iran is no more.
I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. They're led by sick people. And they're vicious, violent people. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it.
After another round of tit-for-tat strikes, the U.S. military blasted 80 targets in Iran. Retaliation, it says, for Iran's attacks on commercial oil tankers violating the ceasefire. In response, Tehran said it struck American bases in the Gulf, and Trump is furious.
We hit him very hard last night. Very, very hard. Probably hit him hard again tonight. I'll give him a little warning. We may take over Cargill Island. There's not a thing they can do about it.
Canada's Prime Minister felt the U.S. strikes were justified.
The United States has responded as appropriate to look to stop this behavior and put in place at least conditions to reestablish the ceasefire.
But as mourning continues for Iran's supreme leader, state media accused the president of bullying. One official warned Trump is, quote, driving the region toward fire. But by the afternoon, Trump, who once praised Iran's leadership as smart and rational, said,
I think they're a little loco. They're a little crazy. I got to know them. And I'm not sure I want to make a deal with them. We can play games, but I'm not sure I want to make a deal. Let's just finish the job.
Unclear if this is a return to full-scale war. The president declared he's Iran's #1 target, calling ceasefire talks a waste of time, but said his negotiating team could still go ahead. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
A group of U.S. aquariums says the American government has approved an emergency rescue to import Marineland's whales and dolphins. The theme park in Niagara Falls, Ontario has been shut down, and the park has said it's running out of money to care for the 30 belugas and 4 dolphins. Ottawa approved a plan last month to send the animals to facilities in the U.S. and Spain. Residents in Kenora in northwestern Ontario are cleaning up the mess left behind by an intense thunderstorm that roared through the area Monday night. CTV's Harrison Shin reveals how much rain fell and the damage left behind.
Alana Mindewigan and her family in Kenora, Ontario are piling things up in their backyard. The water in her basement was waist high after the Monday's storm.
It started in the toilet and the shower, and then after that, it started coming through the basement door, and then my cousin's wall caved in.
And the timing couldn't be worse. She had just moved much of their belongings into the basement for a renovation. She lived in the area for 15 years and says she hasn't seen anything like this before.
We have had some floods, but nothing like this. Like, we just had a little bit of flooding in our basement bathroom, and that's it.
Environment and Climate Change Canada issued a tornado warning Monday afternoon. It says in a usual season, this area gets around 100 to 120 millimeters of rain in a month.
We had about 90 millimeters of rain received in the Kenora area, so a huge amount of rain received in a 2-hour time span between about 2 and 4 p.m.
And the storm impacted nearby cottage country as well. Here in Laclue, water washed one of the main highways, Route 641. Trees also fell over, blocking the road. The area's volunteer fire chief was busy picking up the pieces.
I have never seen anything like this, not around here. I have seen it other places, but not in our little community of Laclue.
Bennett says the washed-out road has been restored and tree debris are all moved out. For the city of Kenora, crews are still working to recover from sewer backups, flooding, and more. For Mindewigan, it's going to be a recovery costing thousands of dollars.
We're going to clean it all up, and I don't know. We're waiting on, I guess, home insurance.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Kenora, Ontario.
Well, not that much rain, but there is some rain on the way. So let's get right to our full weather forecast with Tony Rima to tell us all about that. When's it going to set in and around how much we're expecting?
Thanks so much for that, Marina. Yes, your main weather forecast. We're going to start with the weather alerts. No heat warnings, but an air quality warning in through northern Quebec because of the wildfires in the area. Smoke is invading those communities as a result. It's tough to breathe at times. As we take a look at our systems map at this hour, well, we have low pressure that's pushing in, and as a result, it's going to create those unsettled conditions, clouds, along with showers and a risk of a thunderstorm or two. But then a warm front is going to build in and start to clear things out, and Friday looks pretty good at this point, but we have to wait for that low to move. It's moving, of course, from west to east and going to create those unsettled conditions and intermittent shower activity. Overnight, in through Sudbury, 15 degrees, a chance of some showers, rain for the Sioux, 14, Timmins, a risk of thunderstorms, also shower activity for Timiskaming Shores, rain, North Bay, 16 degrees, still double-digit lows. As we take a look at Moose City, a chance of showers, warm, 14 degrees overnight, Cap and Hearst, 13, a little cooler for Wawa, partly cloudy, 10 degrees. Gore Bay, a risk of thunderstorms, and Parry Sound, a chance of showers coming in at 16 degrees. Here's your 7-day weather forecast, starting with Sudbury, Nickelbelt tomorrow, well, sun, cloud, and of course, rain, 24 degrees, should be 25 this time of year. The rain sticks around Friday, Saturday, we start to get some clearing. Sunday, well, not all that bad, and then rain, and then the temperature starts to tick up a little bit, 29 degrees. And through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma, chance of rain, then Friday, Saturday, look beautiful at this point. Temperature starts to go up a little bit, increasing cloud cover Sunday into Monday, a chance of some rain. Temperature on Tuesday, beautiful sunny, 28 degrees, a little cooler on Wednesday, but above seasonal. As we head on over to Timmins, Cochrane, and Kapuskasing, sun, cloud, and rain on the way. Beautiful sunshine for the weekend, except for Sunday, a chance of rain. It's even warmer on Monday. Tuesday, we start to get some clearing. As we move on over to Temiskaming Shores and Kirkland Lake, 30% chance of showers, spot on temperature-wise. However, it will be unsettled. Shower activity expected. Saturday, we start to get clearing. Sunday, increased cloud cover, a chance of some rain. Much the same for Monday. Tuesday, more sunshine, 29, 26 come Wednesday. And finally, folks, your 7-day weather forecast for North Bay, West Nipissing. Tomorrow, well, 70% chance of rain, slightly below normal for this time of year. More rain expected on Friday. We get that clearing on Saturday, Sunday. A little bit more cloud cover, a chance of some shower activity. More rain on Monday, Tuesday. 29 degrees will be your daytime high. And on Wednesday, well, mainly overcast, some sunny breaks. Coming in at 27 when it should be 24 degrees this time of year. And our picture of the day comes to us from a CTV colleague, Mike Correlli in Sudbury, and he took this picture of a sun halo or a solar halo. Thanks so much. And there's the sun right in the middle. Really appreciate that, Mike, for being on the ball and getting this picture into us. We love to see your weather pictures. You can send them to us at weather.pictures@bellmedia.ca. That's your weather. More news still ahead.
High school students from across Northern Ontario are in Sudbury this week getting a hands-on look at the medical world. CTV's Amanda Hicks tells us more about the milestone year for Camp Med.
We start at the top.
42 grade 10 and 11 students are getting a head start on learning how to save lives. They're from 13 different northeastern Ontario communities taking part in Camp Med. Hosted by Nawsum University, this camp is run on the Sudbury campus. A similar program is also taking place in Thunder Bay.
We're hoping to inspire them to choose a career in healthcare, not necessarily a physician. We do have an MD program, but we also have other programs as well. We have rehab science programs, so they have opportunities to meet physiotherapists, physician assistants, dietetics.
Over the course of the 5-day camp, students trade textbooks for suturing needles, CPR mannequins, and even crime scene investigation gear.
I wasn't expecting it to be as interactive as it is, but it offers such a unique experience. Like, you can study textbooks and you could research by yourself, but you can't, perform a cast on someone else,
I've managed to learn a lot about about my profession as well. And that would be like radiology and all that. And it's very nice to learn such clinical skills.
Now celebrating its 20th year, Camp Med has shaped the futures of 1,200 students. For some, the inspiration comes full circle.
It was really an opening into what the medical field looks like at such a young age of still figuring out what you want to do in high school. So that really kind of opened my eyes to what the medical field has to offer.
I was exposed to so many different specialties at the camp, stuff that I had never learned about before, and not only like the role of the physician, but also so many allied health professionals, and actually very much pushed me in that direction.
Looking ahead, Biazzo says she'd like to see Camp Med expand to more communities to accommodate a larger number of campers. For those interested in applying, the application window opens tomorrow. Amanda Hicks, CTV News, Sudbury.
Our health report tonight is about a rare blood disorder that can cause serious lifelong effects. And as CTV's Pauline Chan tells us, it affects certain ethnic groups more than others.
My mom had already had a child in Sicily who had passed away from thalassemia.
So when John Principato, on the right, and his brother Sandro were born, their symptoms were immediately recognized. Thalassemia, a genetic blood disorder that causes extremely low hemoglobin. A person with one copy of the faulty gene may have mild symptoms or none, but inheriting a copy of the gene from each parent leads to low hemoglobin in the red blood cells.
Red blood cells we need to
be alive. They carry around the oxygen and help our organs to grow and thrive and function.
Thalassemia major, the more serious form, requires frequent blood transfusions, something John says was made easier by having his brother beside him as they went through treatments. And iron chelation, a process to remove excess iron from the blood. Some patients use a pump several times a week. John has an automatic pump. While there have been gradual improvements in blood transfusions and chelation therapy, a big step for thalassemia patients was the recent Health Canada approval of a gene therapy called Casgevy. But the funding for the therapy, which costs more than $2.8 million, is still being negotiated by the provinces. Thalassemia is especially prominent in people of certain ethnic backgrounds: Italian, Greek, and those from the Mediterranean, North African like Egypt, the Middle East like Saudi Arabia, South Asia like India and Pakistan, China, and Southeast Asia like Vietnam and the Philippines.
With more immigration coming from areas of the world where thalassemia is common, it is becoming more common in Canada.
John and the Thalassemia Foundation say it's important for more people to get tested to find out if they are carriers, especially if they're planning a family.
It's not well known, although there's many cultures that it affects. And so getting the word out there that thalassemia is something that you need to think about.
Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Rice is a popular meal and a regular lunch and dinner staple in many countries around the world. A new food survey investigation finds that some rice products can contain concerning levels of arsenic, a potential dangerous heavy metal. CTV's Pat Foran has details.
From sushi to stir-fry to simple sides, we eat a lot of rice. But Consumer Reports says rice can carry a risk. Inorganic arsenic, a dangerous form of a heavy metal and known carcinogen.
Inorganic arsenic especially is associated with some serious health effects. We know that it's associated with skin cancer, bladder cancer, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular effects.
Consumer Reports bought 52 rice products from store shelves, then sent them to a specialized lab for testing.
We detected measurable levels of arsenic, and specifically inorganic arsenic, in every sample of rice that we tested.
The levels vary. For example, brown rice in general has more inorganic arsenic than white rice of the same type. Basmati and sushi rice tend to have less arsenic than other types. And more than 40% of the tested products had enough arsenic that eating just one serving a day over time could raise the risk of cancer and type 2 diabetes. Several brands like Lundberg and Whole Foods told Consumer Reports they test for heavy metals, but many other companies didn't respond. According to Health Canada, the concentrations of arsenic in foods sold in Canada are low and have been stable for many years. However, it says to reduce exposure to arsenic, you should eat a variety of healthy foods each day, vary the types of whole grains in your diet, and cook rice in extra water, drain the rice, and throw out the cooking water. Consumer Reports agrees and says you should cook rice in extra water for 5 minutes, then drain it and finish it in fresh water, as this can significantly reduce arsenic levels. Bottom line, don't overeat rice. Use different sides from time to time, including quinoa and oats, which tests show are lower in arsenic, and when choosing rice, consider lower arsenic varieties like basmati and sushi. Pat Foran, CTV News.
And still ahead here on CTV News at 6. What a ride. Now that Vancouver's World Cup hosting duties have come to an end, the city is reflecting on this once-in-a-lifetime experience. Vancouver's duties as a World Cup host city have now come to an end. The final game at Vancouver Stadium taking place in the form of Switzerland versus Colombia Tuesday. CTV's Shannon Patterson now with more from how city officials are feeling in the wake of the final match.
From the massive marches to BC Place, to the jam-packed Peony Fan Festival and the street parties in the Granville pedestrian zone, Vancouver shone as a World Cup host.
There was a buzz in our city,
and we showed what is possible.
With the final match here now complete, the people behind the planning and logistics of this once-in-a-lifetime event are taking a victory lap.
People take the World Cup super seriously, and there's a certain atmosphere that you need to create as part of being a World Cup city, both for the teams and for fans alike. And I think you can see behind me, we've delivered on that. So I'm really proud of the team and really proud of the city.
We knew we had it in us, and we knew this was going to be something incredibly special. And I think in a couple of days, in a couple of weeks, we will wake up and go, wow, wasn't that incredible?
Incredible and peaceful, thanks in part to the largest and longest deployment in Vancouver police history.
The great success of these matches has a lot to do with the public and the engagement that we've had and how cooperative and celebratory everybody's been.
Vancouverites and British Columbians should be really proud of the show that we put on and the class that they showed when we welcomed the world to our games.
For those who've spent years preparing for these 4 weeks, are you relieved it's over, sad it's over?
A little of both.
It's bittersweet now that the Vancouver portion, or at least the hosting of the games in our city, is officially over.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a vacuum for a whole lot of people who have now gotten used to having this here, and I'll be one of everybody else sort of missing the excitement.
Shannon Patterson, CTV News, Vancouver.
And by the way, kickoff for France versus Morocco is 4 p.m. tomorrow with live coverage right here on CTV. That means our newscast tomorrow at 5 p.m. will be preempted, but you can still tune in after the game on CTV News at 6 for all of your local news. A familiar face in the north will be behind the bench as coach for Canada's under-18 hockey team this summer. North Bay Battalion head coach Ryan Holohan was named to guide Team Canada at the 2026 Hlinka Gretzky Cup. He served as an assistant coach when Canada captured gold medals in the same tournament in 2024 and 2018. In a team-issued quote, Ryan Holohan said, "I am extremely honored to lead Team Canada at this year's Hlinka Gretzky Cup in Edmonton. It's very special to be able to represent Canada and to work with our country's best available players for this age group." The Hlinka Gretzky Cup tournament takes place in Edmonton this August. In entertainment news, a certain music icon is headed from the Smoky Mountains to New York City. David Daniel has that and more in the Hollywood Report.
I can officially announce that Dolly, a true original musical, is coming to Broadway.
You heard it from the source. The musical about Dolly Parton's life, loves, losses, and finding her way heads to Broadway in December. The music legend says it includes some of her biggest hits and new songs Parton wrote for the show. More info at dollymusical.com. New music from U2. Street of Dreams is from the band's first new studio album in 9 years. They shot the video in Mexico City in May. The album, no title announced yet, is due out later this year. In September, it'll be 50 years since U2 formed in Dublin.
Hey, you and I can heal the past. And together, we can build a new world.
Welcome to Team Avatar.
Return to the Four Nations with Avatar Aang, the Last Airbender. Aang and his friends learn of an ancient power that could save his culture from extinction or shatter the peace they worked so hard to build. The original movie debuts July 25th on Paramount+. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Another big announcement from Alberta today. The province has won a contract to build a data center for a major American tech company. BNN Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez reports.
The province will be home to a new $13 billion data center for Meta. Alberta's energy resources make it ideal for energy-intense projects like data centers. This one will be built in Sturgeon County, just north of Edmonton. The center will run mostly on natural gas, and the province says it will generate about $250 million a year for Alberta. Meadow will also invest about $60 million to upgrade the local infrastructure. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 70.60. West Texas Intermediate up over $3 to 73.52. Western Canadian Select up over $2 to 55.27. And the TSX lost 336 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
And we'll take a look now at the current prices for some key commodities we watch. Gold down 59 cents, closing the day at $4,075 US an ounce. Silver up 11 cents, copper down 2 cents, and nickel down a penny, ending the day at $7.30 US a pound. Back we go to Tony now for one last look at the weather for Thursday.
Thanks for that, Marina. It looks like a rain day. Let's check our forecast, starting with Sudbury tomorrow. 24 degrees and a 40% chance of showers. Some rain on the way, and 27 in through Timmins. The Sault, well, 25 degrees, sun, cloud, and some shower activity as we head on over to North Bay. 23 degrees expected tomorrow, sun, cloud, and showers. 70% chance of precipitation. For Perry Sound, it's going to be a wet day, a little cooler than normal. 23 degrees, 40% chance of rain. And for Timiskaming Shores, sun, cloud, and shower activity. 30% chance of precipitation, coming in at 25. Marina.
Well, Tony, hopefully that rain will clear in a couple of days as we're heading into a big weekend for musicians and music lovers in Northern Ontario. If you're driving past Bell Park in Sudbury, you'll notice preparations are well underway for this weekend's Northern Lights Festival Boreal. The festival will run from the 10th until the 12th and remains Canada's longest continually running outdoor music festival. Visit nlfbsudbury.ca for more information. And it's a big day for TV fans. The Television Academy is revealing the nominees for the 78th Annual Primetime Emmy Awards.
Nothing will ever matter more than what I've done in this hospital.
The Pit leads with 25 nominations. Hacks topped the comedy category with 24, while Apple TV newcomers Pluribus and Widow's Bay also scored several nominations for their first seasons. This year's Emmys will be hosted by Law & Order star Mariska Hargitay. And that is all the time we have here on CTV News at 6. Thank you as always for watching. Ian Campbell is in at 11:30.